Okay, so as we said, today's Agile talk will be debugging PHP and Drupal. This talk will be more or less just the the, the basics. Those of you who are working with PhpStorm, PHP in general, and also Drupal probably will be familiar with everything I will say today. But yeah, since we will have a workshop in the afternoon, this is just uh, a quick intro to everything what you will use in the afternoon, and also a way of seeing the things that can be done with Xdebug if you're not so familiar with it. So yeah, of course, first for the beginning, debugging is of course one of the largest and most difficult parts of the developing. It's definitely around 50% of the developer's time is debugging. So it's usually accompanied by scratching your head, cursing, also crying, banging keyboard, mouse, and other stuff. Hopefully not colleagues. But in the final stages, usually there are positive emotions like relief, happiness, also pride when you finally figure out what is wrong. So I found visualization of different stages of debugging um, that uses emoticons for this. So I think if you look at it, you see that somewhere in the second half it gets more positive. Um, so yeah, Xdebug actually for PHP there's Xdebug, and then there's also Zend debugger, but I think Xdebug is widely used and it's also um, the most commonly used among the PHP developers. So yeah, before every developer first met Xdebug, there was probably lots of print and vardums and error logs inside of their code. Of course, usually then forgotten, and they go directly to production. Um, but when developers figure out or they hear and they start using Xdebug, it's usually very good experience. They usually it's like where was this before? So actually, it's a PHP extension, provides debugging, also profiling, but we'll only be focusing on debugging today. There is also integration for PhpStorm and VS Code, so you can set it up on both, and of course on others as well, on other IDEs. And there are browser extensions available for Firefox and Chrome, which gives you the possibility to debug the page you're viewing. So Xdebug plus your IDE, since as I said, there are different integrations. Today's examples will be in PhpStorm, since actually our backenders are using PhpStorm. Um, it's already built in, so you don't actually need to install any additional extensions or plugins, while the VS Code has an integration through an extension called PHP Debug. So it's also, I mean, at the end, of course, visually a little different, but the commands are pretty much the same. Yeah, and before you use it, you need to install the Xdebug PHP extension. Of course, if you are taking care of the local PHP, if you're using Lando, DDEV, Drupal VM, or something like that, this is usually already in there. Um, Often it's just the configuration that you have to enable, and the Xdebug extension for PHP will be installed. So yeah, let's go straight to the code to not waste too much time. So what we'll be doing today is just I will show through a couple of examples. I will show what you can do with PhpStorm. So of course, everyone who has been working with PhpStorm before is familiar with this display. So what I've done is I created a preprocessed node hook. There is a breakpoint in there. You can see variables down there, and on the first, on the biggest part is also the stack trace, which goes all the way down to the index.php. On the left side, usually we have we have this commands which are resumed, which means that it runs until next breakpoint or until the end if there is no breakpoint at all. Pause, which is barely used because you would actually have to pause before, while loading. Then stop, which breaks the entire loading of the page. Then the show breakpoints and mute breakpoints, which are quite useful. Mute breakpoints actually temporarily disables all the breakpoints, and of course, if you have 10 different breakpoints across your code, it's easy. If you want to just do a load without breakpoints to see if it's working, it's easy to just mute them all. And the show breakpoints is also a nice overview. Here, of course, I only have one, but if you would have, and usually when you are debugging it quickly comes to 10 plus breakpoints, and it's easy to find them and also to temporarily disable them or completely remove them. So the next things, I've recorded the videos for the next thing. So now we'll be talking about step over, step into. These are the buttons at the top, see? So now the step over goes to the next line, while the step into goes into the function. So here you see we have node get title, and which means that the step into will, okay, so this is now step over first, and the step into, which will take us into the node class to the function get title. So this is actually where we're going. You see that node.php has opened, and now of course we can go step out, or even if you would go step over, it would be pretty much the same since this is only one liner, but step out takes you back to where you were. Then you also have the run to cursor. You saw that I've set the cursor here, and if you click run to cursor, it actually went to the next line because there's nothing here. So yeah, this is step over, step into, and step out. And now I have found a really nice image that is the usual scenario when using the step over and step into. You were doing it for quite some time, and then as soon as you come to the place where you should stop, you press the step over again, and then you have to go all over again. So this is usually what is happening with this step over and step into. Okay, now the conditional breakpoints. I've set the breakpoint before, and the conditional breakpoint is, let's say goes to the next level. So now I have a little more code here. So let's say that this is the node ID 78. I printed it out here just to make it clear, and then you have the node ID 100. So we have two different nodes, and the condition. So, and I want to debug only for the 78 because I have a special bug there or whatever. So you can right click here and you can type in node ID equals 78 and click done. You will see the question mark beside the breakpoint. And now if I go to the browser, yeah, I've reloaded in between and it stopped here because it's 78. I can also check this with I think I will do it now. Yes, so evaluate expression, this is also something that we will look later. So you see that the node ID is 78. So if I run this through, and if I go to the browser and open the node 100, and I will refresh it here, you will see a quick flicker. So you will see that it was refreshed, but it never, you see now, okay, now it was refreshed. It's not so obvious because I didn't show the tabs, but it was not stopped. So this is the conditional breakpoints. Also useful if you only want to break it on a certain condition. So watches. This is if you want to watch for certain variable. So here in this example, you see that I'm setting in the preprocess node title, node ID, and then if the title is less than 20, then I just in the title length I just put in the title length. If it's more than 20, then I add 3 dots, and I also the title length is set 20 plus. So what we are doing with watches. Here we have watches usually, or you can enable them by clicking here. So yeah, I will add a watch that will be looking at the variable's node title. See, now at the moment it is null, and now I'm going line by line, and here the first this is the first time that it will be set. So now it is setting the whole title. So you can also click view. You see that there is a whole. So now if I continue, I go to the second part because this title is larger than 20. You see, and now here that this will be shortened, and now you see that I have this shortened. So this is helpful if you have really long or deep arrays of variables, and instead of clicking on the left side, you can just make a couple of watches and prepare variables, and you can look what's happening to them directly here. Okay, this is something that I already shown before while using the conditional. So this is the evaluate expression, and this is this button here. So if I go step over, and then I want the evaluate expression, and it also has the autocomplete, which means that if you type node get title, you see that you get the title. And then this is also useful when you are looking for some functions that are in class. You see that, I don't know, get cache tags just gives me node colon 78. And since it has autocomplete, you can actually, while you are debugging, you can actually look for better solutions already. So yeah, get cache max h is -1. So this is the evaluate expression. This was this button here. It's also pretty useful. Okay. Console pretty much the same. Except you have a special tab here, and you can also use different variables. So I will do the same as before. So title here, you can actually see title was set to this node title, and then I say node get title, and it's the same. And then I go step over, and then I want to check what is the value of this. Okay, it's 38, so this means that it has to go here. So this is just console. So it is giving you the variable values while you are debugging. So pretty much the same as watch expression. And by saying this, there is also a term that is not so widely used, but I've come across it, and it's actually debug-driven development, which means that you are developing while debugging. So using the evaluate expression and console, you can actually, instead of going, I don't know, instead of trying, I will try this and refresh, and it's not working, and then try this and refresh, and it's not working. You actually stop the execution of program, and on the go you are trying different things, and then just put that code into your put that code where you need it. And yeah, it's pretty fast, since you don't have to reload the page, and I know that most of you have done it before. So you have a breakpoint, and then you're trying different things and put in the one that is working. So yeah, I think it's definitely not as popular as test-driven development, for example, but it's also a term that I come across while I was preparing for this. Okay, stack trace. This one is also, usually it's too complicated and developers don't use it. But here I prepared an example. Let me just, so yeah, it's the same thing as I had before. So we said before that the title length, whether if it's less or equal of 20, it is the actual length of the title. Otherwise, it says 20 plus. So this is all good. I even put this into the node HTML tweak. So what you saw already before, that at the top I have title length and this, and I print out this variable. So if I go to the page, I open a node. This is a list of nodes, and yeah. And now I see the title length is someone's doing something wrong. So I mean, what is going on? So and I will create a breakpoint because now the page is saying that I should count them. So I'm going through this code and I see that this is okay. Title length, it's going here, and I'm looking at variables. Title length, it's 20 plus. So what can still be wrong? So I will use the stack trace to see where I actually come, where I came from to get to this, and maybe what is going on after this. Ah, damn it. Sorry. Okay, we were somewhere here. Yeah. So I will click a command before that, and I see, if I click, I see that this is a theme manager render. So these are all the preprocessed functions. So for each info preprocessed function. So I will try to see if something is happening after I made that change. So I will look into this info preprocessed functions because I just went back and I see that this is my playground preprocessed node. Okay, and after that we have another one preprocessed node, and of course some others as well, from views, from themes. So, and I will see what this another one is doing. Yeah, it's messing up with me. So this one just sets variable title length to count them. Haha. So the point here is that with the stack trace, you can see where you're coming from, what happened there, and maybe you can also see what is happening after. I mean, what can be wrong. Okay, so okay, so this is, I think I'm just reloading the page. Okay, now I have title length 20 plus. So yeah, I mean, of course, the use cases are you can even go much deeper, but this is one simple example that I figured it would make things. So you can see here it's pretty long, and it goes all the way down to the index.php, which is the first. I mean, the first script that runs when loading the page. So yeah, this is the stack trace. And here, okay, this is pretty much it. Here we also have links is plural because I have one more, but I forgot to add it. I will put it so on the drive you'll have another one. But this is actually PhpStorm Debugging Ultimate Guide is here. It's on the JetBrains. I mean, the creator of PhpStorm. It's there, and it's really. I think it's a really good source of everything.